Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another Sergey Butenko review. This box that's chilling on this little table is a product I've been waiting almost 3 years to receive, and it finally showed up about a week ago, at which point I had to exercise even more patience because I wanted to find a time when I could bring my viewers with me. So in today's video, what I want to discuss is the topic of drinking water. We are now in the month of June. The sun is shining, camping season is here, and thus far through all of my adventures, through all the PCT hiking and the van lifing and the tent camping, I've perpetually been struggling with finding a great vessel for storing water. A vessel that is lightweight enough that you can kind of carry it, a vessel that's durable enough that you're not going to worry about shattering it, and then most importantly, a vessel that doesn't taint the water with a gnarly taste or residue. And so that's kind of like a spoiler alert as to what is in this box. In here, we are gonna find a brand new stainless steel jerry can from Dinuba Water. And that is gonna be the topic of today's discussion. So if this is something that you're interested in, please stick around, because as always, it should be fun and educational. All right, so how I see this video rolling out today is number one, we're gonna break into this box right here, and I'm gonna talk about what you're seeing. We're gonna kind of get our mucky paws all over it. Then we're gonna compare this to other options that I've tried in the past. I'll tell you what I've liked about them, what I didn't like about them. And then thirdly, we are gonna run this thing through some tests. We're gonna clean it, we're gonna fill it full of water, we're gonna see if it leaks at all, and then, then we'll wrap up and go on our merry way. So without further ado, let's hop to it. Now that we've come in close and personal, you can see that this box is from Dinuba Water. It's a 5-gallon jerry can that's stainless steel for potable liquids, namely drinking water. And there's only one in here, and it's made in China. We are gonna slice this open. I put a fresh blade in my X-Acto knife today, in my utility knife. So I'm gonna try very hard not to cut myself. Okay, look. This is the first peek. Oh my goodness. Whew, this thing just took my breath away. Look at this thing. Ah. Wow. All I can say is wow. Let's break into this little box. I believe this is the spigot that fits right there. Look at that. Boom, right there. This thing looks badass. There's really no way to say that other than that. Using a little light profanity to describe a product that takes my breath away. Look at this. Look at this lid. Man, that is some steel right there. Nice wide mouth. You can stick your hand in for cleaning. It's quite dark in there. Can't really see anything in there. There's a little, what appears to be an air vent. So if you want to drain your water this way, it's not going to do that gurgle spilling thing that a lot of cans do. And then you have this optional feature, which is a plug. I know I'm going to need a screwdriver for this, but you can install this spigot right in here so that when you fill this can up with water, you can put it on a table and then actually use it effortlessly. You're not going to have to lift this heavy thing of water and pour it like that every time. And in theory, this thing is not supposed to leak. It's certified leak proof, so we're going to find out that soon enough. My first impression is very positive. This thing seems super durable. The seams are immaculate. In fact, I can't actually tell where any of the welds are. There's no sharp edges, nothing to cut you or your children. You have a nice solid handle, which you can strap to your truck, throw in your van, or just carry. And this little spigot has some weight to it. It's very heavy. It also feels insanely durable. And so I'm very impressed. Very, very impressed. I'm guessing folks are going to be interested in the price. This thing right here retails for 259 bucks. I believe that's right. And then if you want to get the accessory spigot, that's another 19, 20 bucks, something like that. And it holds 5 gallons of water. So it's not the cheapest jerry can out there, but it might be the most high quality. And for my viewers, maybe this is premature to say this before we've tested it, but for my viewers, if you decide to buy this, I've negotiated a little promo code for you guys. Yeah. So you could use promo code BUTANCOFILMS when purchasing this thing, and you'll get a free spigot. So you'll save yourself 20 bucks essentially. There's a little caveat though. When you put this in the shopping cart, you have to add both. So you have to add the jerry can as well as the spigot, enter promo code BUTANCOFILMS, and then this thing will get deducted. Otherwise, if you just put this thing in the shopping cart and don't get this, you're not gonna get anything for free. So make a mental note of that. Okay, so what I wanna do is I wanna walk you through the evolution of my drinking water habits while camping, and then we'll actually move on to test this thing. So let's keep going. Here is a condensed evolution of all of my water jugs over the years. There's been plenty of others, but for all intents and purposes, basically there's two choices. There's plastic and then there's glass. Thus far, this is what I've been working with. And we'll just quickly move from left to right and discuss all of them. This is the Aqua Trainer by Reliance. And this is kind of your standard water jug that you can find at most department stores, REI. And this is probably the worst water jug on the market. If you're somebody from Reliance, don't sue me, please. But this thing leaks from every joint. It leaks from there. It leaks from the little air thing. And it's made out of a blue plastic that has a very, very bad aftertaste. So when I use this jug, if I use this jug, it's really just for like rinse water, for doing dishes, that kind of thing. And it serves its purpose, but I'm not really a fan. In fact, one time I spilled this entire 7-gallon jug in my van, and it was pretty gnarly. I ruined 2 cases of books, which cost me about 400 bucks. So maybe I'm just bitter because that happened. So, you know, a lot cheaper, but you get what you pay for. It's not a great option. Right next to it, there's another jug. This one's made of a different plastic. It has slightly less of an aftertaste. And so with these plastic ones, if they're chilling in the shade, if the temperature doesn't get too hot, then the water doesn't taste that bad, but it does still have a plastic aftertaste. Then when you start getting into the sunny weather, into the double, triple digits, forget about it. This whole thing is gonna taste like plastic. You're not gonna like it. And again, it leaks. Even with Teflon tape, I took this joint and I put Teflon tape on it. It still leaks, it doesn't matter. I don't know if it's because the plastic warped or what, but it leaks here, it leaks there, it leaks here. And so you have to be very careful when you put this in your car because, like I already mentioned with this other one, it can ruin a bunch of stuff. The other thing I don't like about either of these jugs is that you can't reach in the hole. They're very difficult to clean because of it, and they start getting some gnarly funk in there. I think this one in particular has some brown or yellowish kind of mold spots. I'm not too stoked about that. And I've tried to brush it out, but it's very difficult to find a cleaning utensil that can reach that far in. And like I already said, you can't fit your hand in, and I have small hands, and so if I can't do it, most grown men won't be able to do it. Maybe you could get a child to stick their hand in there and clean it with a sponge, but I'm also not encouraging kids to stick their hands in water jugs and potentially get their hands stuck. So these things sort of work. They're better than nothing, but you're gonna have mold issues, you're gonna have gnarly plastic aftertastes, and thus I do not think they're a great alternative for drinking water. Again, wash your dishes with them, do your thing, but I don't recommend drinking from these jugs. The last water vessel that you see in front of you is made out of glass, and it's perhaps the best of the three in that glass is a non-porous substance. It doesn't taint the water with any tastes. It's probably like glass for drinking water is probably your best bet, but it's heavy and it's fragile. So this thing without any water in it probably weighs about 15, 18 pounds. It's a little bit slippery to the touch. You can imagine that when you fill this thing with whatever, 8 gallons of water, it gets incredibly heavy. It gets hard to hold. It's hard to pour from. Of course, you can get like a ceramic jug that you can flip it in, and it has a spigot, but that's getting even more complicated. And take it from me, who's dropped a couple of these out in nature before, when they smash on the ground, these things blow up and glass shards go everywhere. And then instead of camping, instead of enjoying yourself, you're picking up shards of glass to not leave a trace, to clean up the campsite for future campers, as well as children, adults. You don't want to get glass shards in your feet when you're camping. And so thus far, this has kind of been my evolution in water jugs. These systems all work, but none of them are perfect. And that's why I have very high hopes for the stainless steel jerry can, because essentially it gives you the best of all worlds. It gives you something that's lightweight, something that's durable, something that's not going to shatter, but it's also going to have the characteristics of glass, where it's not going to give your water a very bad plastic taste. It's also shiny, it's reflective, it's going to keep your water cooler than these options. And I almost forgot, another downside to glass is you can literally catch your seat on fire. So if you fill this full of water and leave it in a hot car, sun will shine through it and you can burn a big fat hole in your car seat, which I've actually done. I lived on Maui in my 20s. I was stupider back then, and I did just that. I filled this thing up with water, left it in my car, and almost burned the entire thing down, and burned a fat hole in the rear seat of my Toyota. So if you're camping in the summertime, be cautious of that. It works. Before we put the spigot in, I want to see if this thing leaks. And so I have a little flathead here. We're just going to tighten it real quick. And we are going to fill this entire thing with water. Right now it's leaking. It's not leaking, I'm just spilling water all over it because sometimes I find it difficult to be careful. And so we'll just fill it up all the way to make sure that it doesn't leak at its essential joints. Let's tighten this thing a little bit too. Sergey cannot be careful. It's a problem. We're gonna have to find a towel. Okay, at this point it's like 3/4 of the way full. As you can see, there are no leaks right here. Nothing is coming out of there. In fact, maybe we'll exaggerate it. We'll unscrew it. See, now it leaks. And then we'll put it back in, and I'll show you that it doesn't leak. Zero leaky. Okay, let's do the same thing over here. So this little air vent right there is leaking. Maybe I over tightened it. So I loosened it, it's leaking. And then I tighten it, and it's not leaking. Look at that, 0 leaks. So as I'm doing this, I just learned something. If you over tighten it, it'll deform the seal and it'll start leaking again. So then you kind of ease it back. And you kind of have to find just the right spot where the seal is doing the job that it was intended to do, and there's 0 leaks. So 2 of the 3 little points so far are perfect. And so now the most important part is the lid. Let's see if that leaks. Agitate it a little bit and it's not really leaking. Let's kind of ease it back a little. So see there, it leaks, and then you tighten it, 0 leaks. So let's do it one more time just for posterity. We'll loosen it. Woo. It's leaking, and then we'll tighten it, and we'll wipe it so it's a fair assessment. And as you can see, it's not leaking. So it's going to take a little bit of practice to dial all these little things in, but as you can see, once you get it dialed, they don't leak. At this point, I'm going to drain the can and put the spigot in and leak test that, and that's what's coming. Might as well water some bushes while I'm at it, so we're not straight up wasting water. It pours incredibly well because of the wide mouth. Next on the agenda, we're going to take a flathead and remove this and replace it with the spigot. So we're going to do that now. That was pretty easy. And then you're going to want to line up the threads . Come on. Interesting. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm just not certain if this thread has to be all the way in or if just that much is enough. I guess there's one way to find out. Whoop. I don't know if I installed it correctly or not, but it does not appear to be leaking. And yet there is water in it. I've affirmed that none of the parts leak, and it's time to clean out this jug so that we can ensure that the taste is the cleanest and best. And I'll show you how that's done. On the website dinubawater.com, there's some easy step-by-step instructions for how to do this. I'm going to show you right on camera because I can. Basically, you're going to take 2 cups of baking soda and 1 gallon of warm water, and you're going to fill the can with both these ingredients, and you're just going to agitate it every once in a while for about 24 hours, and that will completely clean out the can and make it safe for drinking. And so let's just do that now. This is not an exact science, it's just more or less a recommendation. So that's cup number 1. Hopefully I have 2 cups here. That's cup number 2. And a gallon of warm water down the hatch. And now all you have to do is agitate it. Theoretically, you should leave it in there for about 24 hours. I periodically come out here and agitate it, so that's what I'm going to do, which means I'm going to take a break from filming, and I'll catch up with you guys in about a day. Here goes nothing. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. The taste test. Okay, this right here is for all of the biscuits. If the water in this jug tastes funky, then this is a bad product. So, no pressure, Dinuba. Look at that pour. Just to quickly recap, I tested this jug extensively, as you saw. Then I rinsed it out with baking soda for about 24 hours, agitating it periodically. Nothing too crazy, just anytime I came outside, I would shake it. Then I rinsed, re-rinsed, and re-rinsed it with clean water. And then I went over to my hose and filled it up with super clean water. At this house, we live on a well. The water is mineral rich, it's been tested, and it's very high quality, safe to drink. Then I took this jug and I put it over there in the yard for about 4 hours, hoping that if there was any funk in this jug, it would taint the water. And this is exactly what I'm about to ingest right now. I want to be extremely careful. It has zero aftertaste. This water right here tastes exactly like the water that comes out of my pipes, which means that this jerry can does exactly what it's supposed to do. You know, it gives you clean water wherever you go. So I'm incredibly impressed. That just won me over right there. I was already a fan, but now I'm even more of a fan. I think it's worth the money. I know it's a lot of money. Nobody's gonna argue that. But if you invest in this jerry can, I think you're gonna get fresh water for many years to come. So that is my final assessment of this product, and I'm curious to know what you think. Leave me a comment below. Tell me if you think it's worth the money. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna sit here and keep drinking more water. That was delicious. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Until next time, ciao.